Oh, wow. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We almost didn't have a show. My microphone settings changed at the last minute right before we went live, and poor Pixelbit G was like, "It's me. It's got to be me." He's in and out, in and out. Wound up being my new PC. It got an update and it changed everything, as I know that Windows 11 does do that. So here we are, folks. We are here today. We are going to be talking about the gaming media making accusations, actually saying that Xbox is in trouble because they didn't have a Game of the Year representative. Okay. And of course, we're going to talk about the Game Awards fallout. Now, I do want to say this. What you're not going to get here, folks, is grown men crying over $1 billion or $1 trillion companies not getting their games into the Game of the Year category. What we are going to do is we're going to have an amazing, very pointed conversation and talking with Kay Asante, who I'm going to literally give the mic to, and he's going to set this up once we do intros. How he has positioned it makes a lot of sense as to why. Look, I'm not angry. I have 5 days and almost 5 days, 2 hours and change, and I haven't beaten Starfield yet. It's my favorite game of the year. It's my favorite Bethesda game ever. Am I mad that it's not in the game of the year conversation? Actually, no. I'm disappointed, but we will break down why I'm disappointed with Geoff Keighley, and it goes beyond that. There are a lot of mistakes that Kay Asante brought up in our conversation, and I think one of the most egregious snubs is Hogwarts. I understand whether you agree or you disagree with the author. We're not getting into that political cesspool. Pick which side you want, and you know what? Go for it. It's fine. My problem, and I said this before, and I will look at the camera point, anyone that was involved in the decision to take this game out of contention for basically anything, you are a fucking coward. There's my one F-bomb. I'm sorry to say, these are hundreds, potentially 1,000 developers that worked on this game, that made a game that had literally every chance to fail for being a licensed IP, and somehow or another, they actually made it feel like it was actual Hogwarts. Like when I said this the other day, I walked around for many, besides taking a bazillion pictures, I just walked around and I looked and I was mesmerized on how much detail. The music was incredible. The sights were incredible. Everything. And it could have easily been in every one of these big categories, and it's not there. It's basically as if it did not exist in 2023. I understand that there is a stout plethora of games and publishers and developers that put out probably the best year in gaming, but to pretend that this doesn't exist because of an author whose only attachment to this is that she owns the IP. She literally had nothing to do with the game. So we're going to get into it. I have a lot to say. Hargi Chani, how are you feeling, kind sir? I like the background as always. You're always very pointed in what you're saying, and they're all there. There go the 6 nominees. But how you feeling, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I got a couple of days left until my long vacation.
You're gonna get through
It's
so many games. I know
I
you
will.
can't
I
wait.
hope so. But yeah, so I'm out next week all the way through Jan 2. So I get to play a
Good
whole
for
bunch of
you,
games.
man. That is
So
amazing. That's
yeah, so
amazing.
just getting through the last few days, and been playing a lot of games over the last week. I think I finished like 4 games or something like that, and playing Mario Wonder now, and so yeah, it's been fun. And then we got the Game Award announcements. So yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about
we like I said, there were a lot of scratch your head moments. Kay Asante is going to be breaking it down because I'm going to hand over the mic and let him host while he covers this, because I think his breakdown is really, really perplexing in a way where if you're trying to make it about it being one thing, I think he cuts down all narratives. It's not an X bot point of view. It is a common sense point of view. And when I say perplexing, I don't mean that you can't understand. I mean that if you try to throw a narrative at it to try and debunk it, I think you're gonna lose. But making I think his return debut, because I think Pixel's been here before. Pixel Bit G, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
It's been a long time, my man. Been a long time. I'm doing very well. Happy to be here. I think it's going to be an interesting show tonight. So let's go.
Yes, and actually, with you was supposed to be J Rock. J Rock was supposed to join us. Unfortunately,
okay.
he is stuck at work, and he's going to try and make an appearance potentially in the next couple of weeks, because obviously, we have Thanksgiving coming up, and we're going to see if we can get him to join us as well. But we're happy to have you here, brother. And I cannot wait to get, because I know that you've been very frisky, if you will, on Twitter or X.
I've been having quite a ball on X,
and it's been fun. It's been fun.
It's fun,
and, but listen, some people really take this stuff like crazy serious. But last and no way least, and of course, I'm going to hand the microphone over to him right now, is Kay Asante, one of the power voices over at the Gaming Circle podcast. Kay Asante, how you feeling, kind sir?
Good evening. Good evening. I feel good, man. Good to be with all of you. Unfortunately, I had to run in here, so I'm camless today. I always feel like saying pause after that, but it's not warranted. Leave me alone. It's fine.
At least you're not taking pictures with a PS5 in front of your naked body.
That is a whole thing, man. Let's move on, because that gives me a mental picture.
So
it's
many
fine.
jokes. Stop.
Oh man. But I'm good.
So listen,
Kay,
you and I were talking, and
Indeed.
you brought up, I think the word of the day when we were having this conversation was just disappointment, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really
Yeah.
the best way that we can express without being overly emotional about a game not getting into a category, because that's not what it's about here, and that's not what we're going to talk about today. But I really want to let you paint this picture for everyone, because when you said it to me, I was like, holy cow, okay, you gotta mention this on the show. This is brilliant, man. So go ahead, please take it away.
Well, okay, but before I get started, I did see a message in the chat. Mr. Everborn Saga wanted to join us today, but he's stuck in some kind of hearing. He's doing some life things. Nothing bad or anything. If he's able to jump out of it early enough, he will be making his appearance with us. But if not, you'll most likely see him next week. So there's that. No worries. Yeah. Everborn will be around. But okay, so let's get into it. But first and foremost, like you said, let's establish the ground rules here, okay? Because I feel like quickly this conversation has gotten left. It turned left, and people get labeled, and it becomes this whole man-baby conversation, which let's be absolutely clear what's going on. And I want to hear my panel members' their opinions on this, because I've just been thinking about it in a different way, and I'm thinking that maybe you guys can bring some more to this conversation. So this specific Game Award nominees in 2023, these nominations that we've heard, and I said this to Boom, on a scale of 1 to 10 on the Vex scale, I'm about a 2 or a 3. Right? It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Some things got in that you don't want to get in. Some things don't get in that you do want to get in. Everyone always has those feelings whenever these awards ceremonies drop, right? And it doesn't matter which ceremony you're talking about. You will always get the snubs, and it's all part of it, and it's entertainment. And I think that's fine, right? Where I'm a little higher on the Vex scale is the process altogether, like the whole process fundamentally, right? And if you know me, if you know the show that we do and I do on Saturdays, and so I'm a guy who loves to find the ability to tell people to calm down. I want to rein people in, because people go far left, go far right, they go too far, and usually there's a good answer in the middle that's usually logical, right? But for some reason, every time these things pop up, it tends to really just bring the fringe to the mainstream, if you will, right? The tinfoil hatteries tend to come mainstream because all the evidence is literally right on display, and it makes it hard for someone like me to be like, nah, calm down. You know what I'm saying?
The hat is cast iron, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Cast iron Kofi. Yes. let's get into it. So, okay. The reason why I feel like this deserves a conversation is because honestly, you know, and most of the time, and as with this time as well, you know, it tends to come from people who mainly play on Xbox, right? But just for the purpose of that argument, let's take that out of the equation for now, right? And I want Hargeet to weigh in, and I want a Pixel to weigh in as well, right? Remove all of the coded Xboxness out of the equation, right? It seems that this process is a bit broken. And why do I say that? I say that because if you look at the process that we see in front of us, there are a lot of unanswered questions. There's no transparency as to where this is derived from, and we can dig into what I mean by that in a minute. And in this specific year, there's just mistakes, like pure, plain, simple, like head-scratching mistakes that have been put on Front Street, even though they say it goes through many lines of, you know, it changes a lot of hands before it hits your social media. But somehow these mistakes, these clear, pointed, unprofessional mistakes, have been allowed to be in there, and here we are with it, right? And of course, add to that sauce the fact that, you know, it seems that there are representatives from all sides of the coast, except for one that always needs to be adhered to. So that's my opening salvo. Before we get into the nitty gritty of it, Hargeet, I want you to disabuse me of any of this knowledge, of any of my notions right off the jump. You've been to the show a time or two. You've spoken to some of these stakeholders. Do you see what I see, sir?
I look, for the most part, if you've been following what I've been saying for the last whatever number of months, none of what was announced was a shock to me.
Of course, yes.
Like this list was almost verbatim what I was saying. Outside of RE4, I didn't know if the remakes would be nominated or not. I gave it to Dave the Diver or Cocoon or Sea of Stars as the sixth, but outside of that, none of this was shocking to me. I also figured Starfield would be in the RPG category, but it'll get overshadowed by BG3, I'm guessing, right? So again, like looking through all the different categories, the one that did get me, or two, I guess, is community support and ongoing game.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't understand those ones. Some of the games there, perfectly valid. Some of the games there are head scratchers. Destiny 2, just what are you talking about? They just posted 45% reduction in profit, right? Like they didn't hit their targets. Like obviously something's wrong.
Yeah.
What community support? Everybody, like all the people I hear about Destiny, it's the opposite. People are like, I'm done with Destiny. I don't even want to play Destiny. That's what I keep hearing.
Let me ask you a question about Destiny.
But the one that
question
really pisses
about
me off
Destiny.
Go on with Destiny. Yep.
Well, the Destiny question: when do you remember the tide turning for Destiny sentiment? I know they recently had a bunch of layoffs.
It was a Lightfall.
When?
Right? What are the latest DLC?
Okay,
that one really just kind of turned it around, right? So like the last DLC before it was pretty well received.
Yeah,
and then the new DLC came out, and it still kind of kept going for a bit, but most people did not like the DLC. Right. And so let's put a pin in the community.
Let's put a pin in the community part and Destiny part, because we'll come back to that one because that one's important. But continue. You had another one.
But the thing that bugs me is the game that has made the big turnaround is Halo. And it's you can't give it to anything but community support. Literally, the maps they're putting in were made by the community with Forge. Yeah. Like it's like 80-90% of everything they've done is what the community gave to them. And that's how that game is anywhere as good as it is right now. and yet it doesn't even get recognized. Like, it's literally night and day how much better that game is over last year. And the reason it's 100% Forge came out, and like content creators have been making all sorts of content for Halo. It's
Some of the best
don't see
maps
how
I've
you
ever
don't
played are made by
recognize
the
that.
community. Yeah, there
It's-
is a ton.
It's
Yeah,
nuts.
that's a
This
fair point.
literally a battle royale that somebody made and threw into freaking Halo. It's a content creator made battle royale for it before freaking Halo like 343 does. Like, come on. Like, how much more do you want?
So when did that part happen too? Like, give me some months, if you will, when all of a sudden people
Season
went, hey,
4,
Halo's
season
actually
3,
pretty good.
season 4, and
Yep,
then season
three.
5, it just took
Last
off.
3
Yeah.
seasons they've been banging it
It's
out.
been
see,
good.
season.
But-
But they're not the only
one.
ones on
Right.
on the Xbox side that's been banging it out, right?
Mhm.
Sea of Thieves is still hot. That Grounded
just
is
got
still
an
on
update.
fire. I mean,
Well, but
that's kind of
you guys do
what
notice
Xbox
one
does,
thing though,
so.
right? Not to push back on you, but you all notice one thing that you keep reiterating. All
What's
these
that?
games you're picking out are
not
from
on
a certain
PlayStation.
platform.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Well,
of
I
that.
mean-
Nobody's getting around that, right?
Look, I just want to interject something because you guys talked about when was the turnaround, and yeah, seasons 1 and 2 for Halo Infinite, even though I played the H out of them, were okay, right? They were limited, they lacked maps, and they lacked a lot of things. But season 3 was the start of the turnaround.
When did season 3 drop? Do you remember?
I don't really
End
remember.
of last year?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it or beginning of this year?
When is the latest season drop? Because I have a feeling there's
the
a
latest 2 weeks
timeline.
ago.
was only like a
Season
month
5 was
ago
2
or
weeks
something.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So about the community, and this speaks to what I mean by there's a fundamental problem with this process, right? When is the cutoff date for submissions?
Today.
If you recall.
It's
It's the
15th.
cutoff
So
date
March
is
7th was
Exactly
season
today,
3.
right?
after the
Okay.
after the announcements.
Yes. So today is the cutoff date, right?
Yeah,
It seems,
that's broken.
and this is just my hypothesis, and reading some of the tea leaves and seeing some of the background conversation. It seems they came into this process already knowing their candidates before any of these turnarounds happened.
There's no seams.
Both. Hey
Yeah.
man, I'm just putting it left and right here. I'm not gonna
I hear you.
Bungie recently became like they were back and forth, but the ire started recently with those layoffs, right?
People were complaining about their last season before that. Destiny players have not been happy. Destiny players have not been happy this year.
Some unrest.
So,
Sure,
yeah.
but I think I think everybody will agree with me that the reason why it's so egregious now is what we know lately now about Bungie, right?
Sure.
And it seems that by the time the latest scandal had happened, the ink was dry on some of these things already.
Mhm.
Same thing as in Halo, right? The ink was dry as in it's not getting in right when the sentiment had turned. You understand? So it seems to me that part one of my problem with the fundamentals of this process is you put a date and say that's the cutoff, but that's not really the cutoff, right?
No,
because
it's
way before
Yeah.
there was already a determination made as to what will be there. And even when things on the ground changed, the ink was dry, right? Because if the ink wasn't dry as recently as a week ago, maybe they would have made a different decision specifically about the like best community, because that just spits in the eye of a lot of the other communities, if you understand what I'm saying, you know? So
Well, I mean,
that one was very suspect to me. Mhm.
Best multiplayer game is another one that's a head scratcher because, quite frankly, even if you discount season 5 that launched 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Even if you discount that, that's fine. I hear you. But Hargeet hit the nail on the head. Season 4 has been nothing short of amazing.
Yep.
And on top of that, Forge came out like a hurricane. And all it's done is drop maps that were so good they made their way into the rotation playlist. There's one that's built with Asian decor, and it's like a Shogun Palace. It is absolutely amazing, and it's consistently one of the top rated maps. You can't get this kind of stuff in any other game that's this stout as Halo. And again,
Yep.
my biggest problem with the with the Game Awards, and I'm gonna hand it back over to you, is that the same rules do not apply when it comes to PlayStation and Nintendo. It just really doesn't. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. I'm just literally reading the room.
So you know what?
Well,
and we'll get to that.
Hold up. Before you jump into that, Kay, right? So like,
yeah.
You just said that maybe they don't count season 5 for Halo because it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
Okay. Yes.
When did Spider-Man come out?
You're
that's
not
a
wrong.
different conversation, sir.
Nope,
no, that's a different.
Nope. It's the same conversation. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it came out 3 weeks ago. So you can't arbitrarily say,
but you know what? You know why I say it's a different conversation? I say it's a different conversation because to me, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but to me, those who've earned their chairs a long time ago always keep their chairs. Those who, in their eyes, haven't earned their chairs
you're
have
saying
to fight to get a chair.
That the vote is already rigged, and you have to earn your way in by begging on your knees.
I mean, I'm not going all that way.
You
but
are.
This, you know,
but no,
these are the conversations.
I mean, it is a conversation, but yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why it is difficult to defend is because these are the breadcrumbs, right?
Yeah.
And more, as you try to counteract that narrative, you can't, and it's difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even want to go deep into the agendas part yet. I'm just still super interested in just the blatant mistakes of it. Have you guys seen Best Ongoing Game?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Best Ongoing Game, which is the award for outstanding development, ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time, right? Now, we've seen all these that have won there before, right? Let's talk about some of the nominees this year.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Legends.
Makes sense.
Final Fantasy 14.
That consistently gets updates. Fortnite is another one that makes sense.
It's not even about whether they get updates or not. What do all these 4 games have in common?
They're all live games.
They're live
Unlike
games.
Cyberpunk.
And then we have Cyberpunk, right?
Though it did deliver a new DLC, but it's like, well,
that means Redfall could get into this list. Are we serious right now?
State of Decay have been there every year then, because they're on like update 36. So
I think that this is where the Halo talk, the Sea of Thieves talk, the Grounded talk. You could easily say by their own nominations year after year after year. This is a gas category, games as a service category.
Yep, exactly.
Just look at the historical evidence, except for now when they've decided that, hey, maybe they've done right. And let's be clear here from the guy who's talking. I am a huge Cyberpunk stan. I love Cyberpunk. I have so many hours in Cyberpunk. I think it's an amazing game. It is what it is. It was bad in the beginning. I'm a PC player, so it wasn't as bad for me. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I still believe it does not deserve this nomination. You want to put it somewhere and mea culpa it? Great. This best ongoing category belonged to someone else. And this is a clear mistake. Do I have any contention on the panel here? In the chat.
No, there's no contention. It's not for me.
It's a glaring mistake, right? It's not like
it was very odd to me that was there. The same.
Let me point out another one.
For
let me point out another mistake, and this one's like a glaring mistake. Dave the Diver, best indie game.
It should be right. That should be nominated.
No, it shouldn't be. No, you know why?
Oh, because it's a big studio.
Even Heartgeek.
It's a big studio.
This is a subsidiary of Nexon. So if Dave the Diver is in here as best indie, then where is Hi-Fi Rush?
Yeah,
because they're the same thing.
Yeah,
where is really Double Dragon or some?
Though it's kind of an odd game, right? Because it looks like an indie.
So what? So does Hi-Fi Rush.
No, Hi-Fi actually looks AA. Like, it's really good. I mean, it's borderline AAA. It's a pretty good game.
Hi-Fi looks like a small team could have made it. just like
Like
Dave the
Ori,
Diver looks like,
like
a
an
small
Ori
team
or
could
a
have made
Cuphead,
it.
right? That's
Yes,
a small. It's
exactly.
visually on par with one of those kind of games. So.
Yes, but you know what? We're not even talking about what it looks like. We're talking about facts. So much so that even one of the leads, one of the heads of what is it? Mint Rocket had to come out and go, well, we're technically not an indie. We're a subsidiary of Nick. They themselves said this. They had to come out and go, well, actually, that's one of the dumb mistakes.
Let's go to the next
then
one.
Then another dumb mistake.
Here's the best one.
The esports category. The esports.
I didn't even pay attention to esports.
That one is classic.
No, but this
And
one
they had like
should
a coach that isn't even coaching, right?
He didn't coach the whole year. He's like, why'd you put me in on this? I didn't even coach the whole year.
Yeah,
take me off the list.
Yeah,
right. I'm sorry. It is. And there's more to it. Obviously, there's so much in here. So much lies of P in one category that's really weird versus another category. You know, there is a lot there. And yes, we will and can and will talk about the snub of Starfield and all of this. But just in general, right? My fundamental problem with this thing is it is usually very dubious in the background. There's 12, 13.
I think the number this year was 120, if I'm not mistaken.
120. Do I know a few of them? I'm sure you know a few of them.
I do.
Do we know where they are? Can we find them on a website somewhere? Can they show us?
No, you can't.
Right? When I was saying this to Boom this morning, when the CMA was during phase 2 was going to decide the fate of the whole ABK thing, you could go on their website and see the face of every single person that had been put in phase 2 to come together to be the arbiters. So you knew who they were. Transparency, right? So yes, there are a lot of moving and shaking. There are a lot of dubiousness in the background that breeds this distrust, right? And there are many people who will come in and say, oh, you know, this is just a game, an award show. It's not important. You know, you don't have to put so much emphasis on it. And let's be clear here. Like I said, this specific award show on my Vex meter, I'm about a 2. The whole problem with this process gets me to about a 7 out of 10, right? But why I am at a 7 out of 10 is because you and me, you in the chat, me on this panel, all my great members on this panel here, we have one common love, and that is gaming, right? Overall love, right?
Yes.
And this thing, this event, whether we like it or not, is called the Game Awards. It's not called Keighley's Award. It's not called the IGNers. It's not called the PlayStation. It's called the Game Awards.
It's
right?
not though.
I have a fundamental problem with the THE.
Yeah,
I really do.
That's very ballsy.
Yes.
So
and you know, hosts come out and they talk about how they're there to worship, to celebrate gaming and the hard work that takes to make games and all of this, and then Hogwarts Legacy is nowhere on this list. Like 0. Oh, well, 113 people voted. Are you telling me in all categories, all 113 people decided that the game that sold more than most this year belongs nowhere on this list?
It's as if it doesn't
Where's
exist.
The transparency?
Yeah, there is none.
I mean,
yeah.
it sells doesn't mean it would be a game of the year contender.
Oh no, of course not. Don't get me wrong, Hargy.
That's not important at all, right? It's popularity.
Because where's Call of Duty? I understand.
Isn't important at all. I mean,
absolutely. But can you look at this list and not tell me that RE4 instead of Hogwarts is an insult? You know what it means to me?
I mean,
like, let me tell you what it means to me. You tell me.
Hogwarts is good, but you had others that were in the upper 80s that could have been nominated as well.
Let me tell you how I feel about seeing RE4 in the list. Okay, to me, and pick your music genre of choice. I'm gonna stick to hip hop tonight. To me, it's like saying, oh, that new album that released by Nas. Oh yeah, Andre 3000. His album is coming out this Friday. All these amazing artists that have bled from a stone to give you new content. Nah, none of that is as worthy as that Tupac album we remastered and re-released that came out in 99. That is literally what is being said to everyone on this stage here. And it's telling publishers, why risk it? Just give us a good oldie, clean it up, because anything new won't get you any attention. And there are so many new. How many times did we say, oh my God, the Game of the Year discussion is going to be bananas? And then you have a remake that everyone is, and it's not the first if it's a remake. Right?
Yeah. Well, we should hold on to that one though, because there's a wager that we'll be seeing a remake again next year. So just hold on
know
to
where you're going. Go ahead, put it on.
Actually, believe it or not, I literally said that to him, and what he's referring to was I said, okay, next year there's going to be The Last of Us 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn. You're getting a remake PS5 versions of those. I told him,
put out something.
Yeah, I mean, they got to put out something. But
so look, I guess the fundamentals, and I will let you give me your take on what my hypothesis here, Hargeet. But I guess the fundamentals that I'm basically like describing, and we're gonna get into the Xbox-ness. I know you'll bring it up. I know Pixel will bring it up. Fundamentally, this is a symptom of a large problem. For me, either remove the from the ceremonies and call it something else, or at least try to be for what you say you're for. Because when you keep the there, I expect more from you. And when it doesn't happen, I get very disappointed. I want to be the one coming on these shows and saying, come on, guys, quell it. Because, there are always logical reasons to it. But I can't do that. And it's frustrating me because the more and more all of these come out, it's like, and I've heard arguments like, look, if you really look at it, like remove all the other subcategories that aren't gaming. If you really look at it, PlayStation got maybe one more nomination than Xbox did in this year.
No, they actually got less. They got 2 less.
Oh, they got 2. Fine, which is true because it's great.
Yeah, if you take out VR, if you take out the movies, right? Sure. It's a much closer race.
But just like the scandals that have come up in reviews and scores, right? Every time anybody complains about a score, they say, read the review. And yes, the review itself, the substance is there. It's nuanced. It talks to the good, the bad, all of that. And then the score is completely different than the review itself, right? It's the same thing here. So you can hide behind the words while still putting out the chum in the water to get the scandal. They basically went, oh, see that small little upstart effort? Yeah, we loved Hi-Fi Rush. That is your game that you can represent with. The other elephant in the room, the one that should have been represented. Nah, that doesn't exist here.
You mean the one that you took away from our favorite platform? No, not that one.
That doesn't exist. You see what I'm saying? And anytime anybody says anything, they go, but look, Hi-Fi Rush, come on.
Or they call you a man baby, or they call you a bot. Or you get, like, for instance, like we can't legitimately come here, right? Now, obviously, there are, look, I don't talk about other content creators. I don't need to. Make your content how you want to make it. But again, I'm not vexed. I'm not, throwing my new TV against the wall or my controller because it didn't happen. We're here having I think a very stout conversation, and I think we are allowed to do that without being called a bot or a corporate slave. Because I find it to be not, I mean, obviously it's insulting, but I find it to be childish at best. And again,
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, Boom. That's why I say remove Xbox out of it. Yeah, because it's the Patriots versus the pick your team, right? You can have that back and forth. Remove all Xbox properties out of this conversation. The fact that Hogwarts Legacy got no mention on any, like nothing is truly shocking.
I think there are 36 categories, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go to the website and I will count them out. And I'm pretty sure it's either 31 or 36. I might be off a little bit, but think about that for a second. Now, again, maybe Hogwarts isn't your bag. Maybe you're like, exactly. I'm not a Harry Potter guy or gal. Yep. I'm not going to argue with you. Not every game is for every gamer, right? I say it all the time. But when you talk about the game, not the author, not the controversy. Let's just look at what Avalanche was able to produce.
Exactly.
They somehow, and again, sorry if I sound like a broken record. I have nearly 4 days in it. I have 3 days, 19 hours and change, and I haven't beaten the game. You know why I have that much time? Because I like big open worlds, and I just like doing things in them. I don't, straight line a story. I don't. When I finally beat Spider-Man 2, I'll have 60 hours in it. You won't, because you'll say, "Well, boom, I ran through it in 12 hours," and that's awesome. Some people have platinumed it in under 24 hours. That's awesome. That's not how that's not how I play my games.
Yeah.
I like going. I mean, first of all, people be like, "Boom, you shouldn't admit this." I have over 80 hours in Redfall, and I added another 15 after they did the update. Why? Because I had a really good time. Yes, the game was a mess. Yes, it lacked a lot of oomph that we were hoping that team could bring, as they've done before. But I still enjoyed myself enough to put that much time into it. Hogwarts is a game that, when you look at it from its core, again, taking out the controversy, taking away the author, just let's look at it as a game. It has no right to be as good as it is, and by all rights and by history as we know it, because it's a licensed IP, should have failed.
Yeah.
And somehow it didn't. Somehow
Support
when you
the
walk
devs,
in,
support the devs until the media decides that the devs should not be supported. Now everybody's like, okay,
yeah,
really?
then it's
Really?
it's fine. It's fine. Oh, Everborn
It's so
Saga's here,
upsetting.
ladies and gentlemen. This
And
is
here he
wonderful.
is.
And here he
Wow.
is. We didn't say Sega, and he showed up. This is crazy. Like the Candyman. Listen, while we just let me take a pause for a hot second, and let me read the super chats that have come in, and then we will get back to Hargeet and hear what he has to say about it. Because, like I said, I have a specific comparison, and again, it's just food for thought. It is not, trying to tear down narratives or whatever else. It is some food for thought, but I'll get to it in a second. First of all, the first super chat of the day is a big one, and it comes the way of Michael Kullick, who drops an outstanding and very generous $20 super chat and says, "Now, one thought crossed my mind. I wonder if anyone else noticed. Microsoft really dropped the ball giving back the Alan Wake publishing rights to Remedy. Hope they can still acquire Remedy at some point to fix the lapse in judgment." I mean, I'm a Remedy fan. I am enjoying Alan Wake. I'm a little jarred when you have to go into the room and figure out the clues, because it's just not clicking with me. I like the action. It's just like I find myself a lot of times just trying to put the piece of paper somewhere where it sticks. And when it sticks, then I'll take the time to read it. I don't know. I just haven't figured it out, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm a huge Remedy fan. And speaking of Remedy, there was a lot of talk. There's something with Quantum Break on the socials. I put a tweet out there. I loved Quantum Break. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements, and that last one where you got to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, that last MF
that's my favorite
is,
Remedy game, straight up and down.
wow, he's so hard, but I finally beat him. Pause. Hold on a sec. Pause. Michael Kullick drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Speaking of hi-fi, it seems more clear to me that it got snubbed more than Starfield, 5 nominations, but not Game of the Year." Yeah, that could have been a Game of the Year category. But like I said, listen, we're going to get into my thoughts in a second. RC Polygons drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Do you all think Xbox should plan a new January Game Awards addressing timing 2 awards per category for Xbox and third-party studios? Thoughts?" I would love it, but I don't think they would do it, because what it would ultimately do is it would go toe to toe. Like I don't think Microsoft owes Keighley.
It needs to come from the community. It would
have to come from the community. Yeah, it would have to be. It couldn't be it would have to be something where a bunch of content creators, or I'm gonna say a bunch of media personnel, but there's a lot of good media folks out there. I follow quite a bit of them. That would have to come out and say, "Hey, listen, we're just not happy with what's happening at the Game Awards, so we're gonna try to do our own thing, kind of grassroots." and maybe Microsoft wanted to get involved. It's a
Ladies
great
and gentlemen,
idea.
you've heard it here first. The CGAs, the Community Game Awards 2025. Let's go.
Freaking
Sounds good.
love that. Okay, so Michael Cullick drops an additional $2 super chat and says Golden Joysticks did a better job. They did.
Mhm.
They absolutely did. I am looking forward to the DICE Awards, as those are considered to be the Oscars rather than the Golden Globes, and I stole that from Everborn Saga, who is here, because obviously we know that the Golden Globes are voted on
By the media.
by the media, so
Mhm. Yep.
it could be skewed.
It's
if
actually
you
exactly
will.
like that. The Golden Globes, media, Oscars, people who make the games. Oh, people who make the movies. So
yeah,
you know.
yeah. So that's the difference. Okay, so real quick, Alvin drops a $5 super chat and says some of these nominations remind me of Metallica getting robbed of Metal Performance Grammy by Jethro Tull in '89.
89.
Politics
Yep.
at work. Yeah, that's a freaking great analogy, Alvin.
Mhm.
Shout out to you, because I remember that, and that is gross. THX1138 drops a $2 super chat and says Hogwarts Legacy best-selling game of 2023 with 15 million copies so far. Yeah, it's selling really well. Now we're getting into the holidays. I could see them being some big numbers, but Hargeet, Sante, pose the question again to Hargeet, and then we'll welcome in Everborn, and we'll see, and we'll get Pixelbit G, and then we'll bring Everborn in and get his hot take.
Yeah. So I guess my fundamental question for the room, and I'll start with you, Hargeet, is you already know of some of the and we'll leave the their team versus our team rhetoric to where it is, because it is what it is. We already know that happens
Right.
every year.
Yes.
But even beyond all of that, there are just some really head scratchers, some unprofessional mistakes. I feel like they need to remove either the from the title or come to the carpet and let's have a fundamental rewrite, because this is representing us as in the, and it's not doing the job we as the people deserve as gamers. What are your thoughts, sir?
Look, nothing's ever perfect, right?
Of course, yes.
So, is there room for improvement? Obviously, we've been pointing out some things, and to have one of the nominees tell you, I didn't do anything this year, you shouldn't have nominated me.
Two of them. One said I didn't do anything. The other one said I'm not an indie. Like, what are you doing?
Right? Obviously, there's some flaws there. The question is, how did they even get to that? But anyway, whatever. Like, we'll figure that out. I honestly, I'm wondering why they even have that category. Is it because they get like sponsorship dollars? Because outside of that, who cares about that category? Like, really? Like, it's just so. Anyway, whatever. I think they should do other things though. Who pushed graphics the most, right? Or audio design, so something like that. Well, they have the audio ones. At least they have audio design, but like, who pushed the envelope in tech? That's, I mean, at least on the Oscar side, they do actually do those. They just do them outside of the show.
Now you're speaking about the M word, that dreaded M word that seems to be the last factor in the equation, which is merit. Hey, now.
Yeah. But I mean, so anyway, so I think that would be kind of good, is to get into some of the tech of it. Literally, video games is tech, right? Yep. So might as well at least, get some sort of recognition for who's pushing the tech, right? Let's get some of those things. There's an interesting one on the best adaptation, where it's intended to be games that go to movies, but why shouldn't it be the other way around? Which is where you have the potential for Hogwarts. There's the upcoming Avatar game, right? Those kind of things have a potential to be hey, this is taking something that was, a movie or a book and making it into a game, and it's a really good adaptation. There are plenty of games that are based on books, right? So that's something they could probably take a look at, right? Is another potential category. They have those, I believe, as Oscars too, right? Best adaptation from source material being
from
book
books
or novel,
and other
whatever.
places, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think those are the kind of things that, to mature this even further, is to say, well, when you have best adaptation, that's a good start, right? But it's only for going from video game IP to a movie. Make it open, right? Have other formats as well. And that's where a Hogwarts would definitely come in. Like, you have to it's such a fantastic representation of that environment, that whole Harry Potter world, that you have to recognize it, right? So I don't see it as like it didn't rate as well, and this is just too ridiculous a year. Look, people were going to be unhappy no matter what. You have to just accept that, right?
No,
there were
that's
too many
true.
awesome
Yeah.
games, right? When an 89 doesn't get recognized because there were so many 90s. That's the world we're in, right? It's just so ridiculous that we had so many awesome games. It's tough. Now, the remake part. I was very iffy on the remakes, right? I think that remakes should have its own category because I don't want it to, like, the whole point of Game of the Year should be something that's this year, something that came out this year, right? These are old games, and they're old, very good games. Like RE4 originally was like a mid-90s, right? It's a very good game. I don't like it's a pretty slippery slope, especially given that RE4 remake didn't fundamentally change the game. I can look at Final Fantasy VII remake and say, you know what? You added a lot to this. This is not the original game, right? Yes, it has some of the elements, but it's a huge
It's a
departure.
totally different game than
right?
the original. Yes,
fair enough. You've made a huge enough change. I'll give you that one. You should be, you should be considered for nomination if it makes sense. But in RE4's case, it's almost like 95% scene for scene the same, right? So, like, all right, at what point do you say, well, you haven't changed enough, you're not going to really be considered? Like, it's the same content. So it's a little iffy for me. I'm okay with it in that it was a good game, but I'd prefer that they just take that out of the Game of the Year, nominations, and instead put it in its own category. Because there are a lot of remakes, and I think it's a good thing for it to happen, because there's old games that, say, somebody who's just getting into gaming, say like a 10-year-old, 15-year-old that are just getting in, is like, hey, I'd like to try this, but like the old game is not accessible because it's old controls. It just doesn't. It's clunky, and you have it redone, and it's newer controls. I think that's a great thing, right?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's fine, but don't consider it again as Game of the Year. That just, especially in a year like this, Diablo didn't get nominated. Hogwarts didn't get nominated. Starfield didn't get nominated. I could go on with the number of games that are high 80s that didn't get nominated because this year is so crazy. And it's fair. It's fair. But then it's tough to say RE4 should be there. Yes, it was a it was a low 90s, 91, 92, whatever, right? Fair enough. But you can't take an old game and then take away a spot for so many other games that could have made it. Hi-Fi Rush. That was an 89. That should be here instead. Right? Like, there's so many games I could point out that could have been in this, Game of the Year category that were this year, that were new this year. Right? So that's something that's interesting. The snub for Halo is really kind of irritating. It must not be in the zeitgeist for those reviewers, right? By the way, I put in the in our private chat.
Yeah,
did you
I saw
tell
that.
you which companies, like which media outlets are doing the voting? Who there, I don't know, but at least which media companies are doing the voting. But it is obviously not something they cared about. But I don't know why. Like they should be on top of this, but this is the problem, right? So I think this is just an industry thing that needs to kind of get fixed, and maybe that needs to be somewhat pushed by Geoff. He needs to initially vet, hey, yes, you can consider whatever you want, but I'm going to put some borderlines around this. Say, out of these 10, pick 6. Out of these 15, pick 6. Right, something like that.
And by the way,
you have to vet these things. Yeah.
What you're describing right there, I want to add a nugget to your question and ask you this: is there some way potentially that they could then get them to at least try to play the games all the games they are nominated?
And
they don't even
another
do
thing.
that at the Oscars.
They don't.
Yeah.
I think
I
you
know
can
they
forget
don't.
about that.
I know they don't. But that also tends to be part of the issue we're describing here. It's kind of skewing things in a way that is. I'm just saying, Hargi, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Everborn said, right? Like they don't even do it there. I would absolutely, expect that if you're gonna vote Elden Ring for Game of the Year, you better finish that damn game, right? If you haven't finished it, then don't talk to me about voting for it, right? So, but that's what happens. It's a popularity contest, which is why
Indeed
it was so
it is.
easy for me to say, these are going to be the games. I'm going to tell you, these are going to be the games because of popularity. It doesn't matter. These are the ones that are going to be the games, right? It's very easy to tell, right? It's very easy to tell. It's not about what should have went.
Popularity
all,
by who?
Because
right.
they haven't.
Media popularity, right? Not
Yeah, exactly.
consumer consensus, right?
No. It's media popularity. Exactly. It's
So,
what is in the zeitgeist of the media.
Exactly.
What are they talking about?
So
you can tell.
If you only have one type of gamer in the media, then expect to get the same bullshit games listed every year for those kind of awards, because that is the type of game that player plays.
Now, I'm not going to say that these games are bad, though Baldur's Gate 3 is bad.
They're good.
But anyway,
they're good games. Nobody said this. Every game on that list is a good game. You can't really fault it, right? Some may not belong there. Some may be overscored for what they are, but by and large, they are good games, right? So and that's the thing about this year, right? Like unlike last year, where that garbage cat game got in, over
Stray, right? Stray,
over something like Vampire Saviors.
I think that had like an 81 or an 82,
right?
Like that.
Vampire Survivors gets dumped, but that game got in, right? That was easily more debatable, right? But in this case, these are all great games, so it's good cover when you want to do BS, when you have a good list. But go ahead.
But see what you described there, Pixel, real quick. I'm sorry. What you described, Pixel, it's still every year there's a fundamental head scratcher. And you can never find any clarity.
It's more than one, though. This
year has quite a few head scratchers.
Things that you can look at and say, well, damn, right? Like, I mean, because nobody's mentioned it yet, but it's like, for the music category,
that's another one.
How many OSTs
there's definitely some things there.
Do y'all remember? Because I played a lot of games this year, and there's only one that I can say, damn, that shit felt iconic, right?
Yeah.
Starfield's soundtrack is iconic. I don't really care about it.
Well, I'll say that the Zelda and Mario are iconic, but they've been iconic for like 4 decades.
They're they're
good. I don't want to take anything away from it. Like, I know those songs.
New one. This is a new soundtrack, right? So, go ahead.
Yeah. So the other thing that's different here, and they try to represent a bunch of things, is there's so many genres. So if you're going to represent Stray is very different than, say, Sifu, right? And Sifu did not get the recognition. It was nominated, I believe. But it didn't win. Stray won, right? And do you say, like, from a pure gameplay mechanic perspective, is Stray fundamentally better than Sifu?
No, the answer is no.
Like,
to that.
come on,
yes.
That's the night and day. Like, come on, right? Like, so, but it didn't get recognized.
You're
right?
talking zeitgeist. Last year, Sifu came and it was hot, no question. But Vampire Survivor was everywhere. It was
and how do you categorize that one, right? And to say, okay, should that be the indie of the year? Should that be like what is that genre? Like, what is a whole new thing, right? Maybe just like they did now.
At least
debut
it can technically
indie,
be
right?
an indie.
Just like what is this, right? Like something just crazy. But yeah, like I think they need to expand. I think that's what needs to happen. I think that like I counted, I think 32 different categories, and there's like 8 of them or whatever is esports, which just get rid of it. But look, I think it's literally, I think it's because of money. I think they get money for, Geoff, like the Game Awards gets money because they can advertise the esports stuff.
And they should. So you should leave in those categories that are
But like, honestly, who cares?
So what I want to do, because I see this is going on in the chat, and I know that we're going to get into it more specifically, but I have to stomp out this fire before it gets out of control.
Okay.
Because there is this running narrative that because Starfield is an 83, that it shouldn't be considered that it was snubbed. And I'm going to push back, and I'm not going to mention who said it, but I'm going to push back on it. And here's my evidence. Okay, Ghost of Tsushima, a game that is my favorite new IP, right alongside Aloy and Horizon Zero Dawn. You've heard me say that numerous times. Got an 83. It got 8 nominations. Okay, Death Stranding got an 83 and got 11 nominations.
Boom. I just need to push back just for 1 second.
Sure.
Starfield is not an 83.
No,
it's
an
85
on OpenCritic.
It's like an
right. It's an 85 on OpenCritic. It's an 86 in Metacritic on PC.
Okay.
Why do we default to the lowest score?
I'm just like I said. I said what I said because people are gonna be like, well, PC is different, and it's not. It's an 86.
I'm
It's
sorry,
fine.
Boom. I'm sorry. I have to do it, but now I need to see a meme with BoomStick saying, "I said what I said." I'm just saying.
No, it's not about Boom. I'm just saying in this discussion.
Yes.
The game.
You are right.
Listen, listen.
Yeah.
Kay, where did you play Starfield?
Oh, on PC, where it was
okay.
The most magnanimous.
Pixel,
I played
where did you play Starfield?
On PC, Playboy.
Okay, I played it on PC and I played it on Xbox. Right, the game. So we don't just say because it got the lowest score on because I guarantee you, if it had a lower score on PC, they would go with the lowest score there.
Yeah,
that's just a way to take away more points.
And by the way, we keep threading this needle as if a Metacritic score equals nomination. They have nothing seemingly to do with each other.
It's
right?
Not, yeah.
I mean, other than being voted on by the same people.
So one getting the Stapleton curse,
bro. Like
one of them getting the Stapleton curse should not affect its nomination ability.
Can I jump in for a second, Boom? Unless
by all means, please. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here. But I believe fundamentally to solve a problem, we have to understand the problem, right?
And I think I would agree with that.
I think Pixel touched on it a little bit. Again, as we said, this is more akin to the Golden Globes, where the press votes on these things, right?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the press, by and large, plays more games on PlayStation. And do not take my word for it. Go to Metacritic right now and look at every multi-plat game and look how many reviews it gets on the PlayStation versus the Xbox.
It is not even just, but hold up. It's not even debatable because they have options to choose which platform they want. The games could be also on PC and they will choose inferior hardware.
Right.
So that tells you where the preferred platforms are at.
So that's thing one, right? So the people the voting body of this thing is 120 people from certain press outlets. That voting body, if they don't play these games, because I guarantee you these people don't play Sea of Thieves, they don't play Grounded, they probably aren't playing Halo Infinite, and that's why it's not voted. See, a lot of people, they want to say, well, Geoff Keighley's masterminding this thing, and it's not really that. I think if we want to solve this issue, you need to add more. Listen, this happened with the Oscars too, right? They were always selecting a certain kind of film. There was backlash by the audience, and I don't want to hear anybody saying this is crying over spilt milk. Because at the end of the day, every award show has a postmortem and every nomination system has a postmortem where the people, the audience, go and say, well, why does this happen? Why does that happen? Now, I don't want to compare these things, but there was this issue called Oscar So White, right? And they had to go make adjustments to that process. So there is clearly things that don't make sense here. There's clearly a lack of transparency. Right. And there's nothing wrong with talking about that. Right. So I don't think the answer is to silence the voice of the tabloid publications like Metro UK, some would say IGN, but I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is to add more voices who are steeped in this system. So for example, right, does Jez Corden vote on these things?
No.
Right? Let me ask you a question.
He does not.
Does Randall Thor vote on these
Definitely
things?
not.
Should.
He's an outlet with 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Does Dealer Gaming, does Colt Eastwood vote on these things? Right? But so
what about Xbox Era? That comes away of KSON thing. Yep. Xbox Era big
right? So you may say, well,
real quick,
wait a minute.
I'm looking at the jury list here, and with the exception of maybe a gamer tag radio, that's the closest you're getting to community driven voters.
Content creation.
Right. So the thing is this, right? You're fine having someone like a Metro UK, which clearly even PlayStation people will tell you that they have a PlayStation leaning bias, right? You're fine having them in there, and you don't say
leaning?
they're discredited because of the kind of drivel that they put out. So why wouldn't you then have other voices to balance that out? Right? The issue is with the voting body. And until that's addressed, you're going to continue to see this. And again, there is no reason that Hogwarts should not be there, right? It's not there for anything. Forget about Game of the Year. It literally got no nominations.
But Everborn, who determines the voting body?
Exactly.
This is why we say what we say. Who determines that? Now, the voting body determines the games, 100%. Who determines the voting body? Who says who gets in and who stays out?
Right.
Alex, think about that for a minute.
No. I don't have to think about it. I've thought about it already. The thing is this: the voting body is the gaming media, right? The voting body, you just said this, apart from Gamertag Radio, is mostly sort of website publications that talk about these things. And by and large, apart from Windows Central and Xbox Era, are all primarily either centrist, pretending to be centrist, or PlayStation leaning.
Yes.
This is a fact. So the pool is not there unless you open it up to content creators. It doesn't exist. And even adding Windows Central and Xbox Era,
there are simply not enough Xbox leaning publications that exist to fill the void, in comparison to the number of Nintendo and PlayStation.
But please, let's be clear here. There are definitely content creators among them. What's Good Games is among them. Kind of Funny is among them.
No, we know
Jeff Gertzman show is among them.
Kind of Funny
is a media site, right? I mean, they're kind of media,
not even that. I mean, but he was media, right? Greg Miller was media.
He used to work for IGN, right?
I mean, he still holds media credentials. And what's the other one? Colin. What about What's Colin's Good Games? Also media, right? So
what about What's Good Games then?
Yeah, but that's
if you want to get people that's fair, what about getting a Skill Up on that board?
Well, no, Skill Up is on the list. Skill Up is on the list.
Didn't Skill Up say that he was going to eviscerate the next Bethesda game for some particular reason in one of his videos?
Is Jim Sterling on there?
He should be.
Jim is not on there. Jim is not on there. Skill Up is. ACG is not.
Okay, well, then.
But this is the thing. ACG should be there. So again, all I am saying is it's not, and I'm not saying this to say, oh, you need some people who are going to drone on and just pick Xbox in, but you need people who are familiar with the ecosystem to go in there and represent that ecosystem. It's a part of the audience.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So this is all I'm saying. Now, another point that I want to make, because a lot of this is this is like a postmortem. This is what we don't like. This is what we don't understand. This is what we're trying to understand. It's what we're trying to solve for. But we do need to take a minute to give Hi-Fi Rush its flowers.
I have 5 nominations.
5 nominations. And they're not like BS nominations, right? There's 5 nominations, and it was nominated in a major category, Best Action Game, right? Best Sound Design, right? And so the thing is, Spider-Man got 7 nominations, and the only 2 that Spider-Man got, one of the biggest games of the year, got that Hi-Fi Rush didn't get, was Game of the Year and voice acting. And it's understandable that Hi-Fi Rush didn't land a nom in the voice acting category. And the Game of the Year was already so stacked that it's understandable Hi-Fi Rush didn't make it in there. So Hi-Fi Rush got its just due. And because Starfield and Diablo and Halo got snubbed, I feel like we are not taking the moment to give Hi-Fi Rush its flowers. because it showed out and it showed up and it performed in terms of audience perception, critic perception, and now the Game Awards perception. So,
but I want to add context to what you're saying, because you talked about people on this voting board, and you talked about this. You and I had this conversation. Metro, this is the same Metro that said when they were reviewing a Hi-Fi Rush, we wish we could score it higher, but because Xbox has had a drought of games for first party, we can't. That they said that in their review. We wish we could score it higher, but points have to be deducted because Xbox first party hasn't delivered in years.
Metro UK is a dog shit organization.
It is, but they are still
but there's so many dog shit
the
organizations. How do you just pick one?
You balance it out by having more voices from the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah,
now,
but we know they're not going to do that.
It's one of those things.
To your point, right? Yes, Hi-Fi was a great game and it's being overshadowed because of the nonsense, right? Fair, right? It is a great game. Let's see how many it wins.
Well, here's another thing, right? I'm gonna devil's advocate, my own devil's advocate for a second. And Hi-Fi Rush has 5 nominations. What other game has 5 nominations and is not in the Game of the Year category?
None.
Think about that one for a second.
I mean,
because Resident Evil 4 don't have 5 nominations.
So again, what you're saying there is they used Hi-Fi Rush as a scapegoat to
no, it's not a scapegoat. It was a good game and it deserved every one of those nominations.
Of course, but they're using it as a political football. That's what they're using it as.
A little placation.
I think it deserves
a little
because now we're saying it got a participation award, and I do not accept that. That game
you don't
deserved
have to
every nomination.
For it to be true.
Both can be true.
No, the game that got the nominations it deserved. Now, the other thing I want to push back on, not push back, but just the thing that I want to say, because I think it's getting lost in this whole discussion because of the games that got snubbed. If you look at the number of awards per publisher,
Xbox is doing
Microsoft
pretty well.
got 10,
yep,
right?
Nintendo 14,
thing,
Sony 9.
Sony got 13, right? But 3 of Sony's nominations come from Best Adaptation.
Right. From
right?
TV. Yeah, on film.
And then another 2 or 3 of them come from VR.
Yes.
And the rest is Spider-Man. Right? So for all of this doom and gloom about Xbox, they have something to prove at the award season. They got 10 nominations, basically the same as Sony, right?
Sony's listed as having 9, just an FYI.
That means listed by who? Because I saw the Game Awards tweet that they had 13.
Yeah, and that's probably accounting for their adaptations.
Oh yes, it is. It is. So because the adaptation, they have like 3 nominees in one category.
Yeah, Twisted Metal, Last of Us, and Gran Turismo the film.
So they get 3 for that. But if you they're nominated
I'm
in
looking
9
at
categories.
the wiki, and it says 9 for Sony.
Right.
But maybe they have another one as a different publisher.
That's 9 categories. Right?
Nominations. 9 nominations by
No, but I'm telling you right
publisher.
now, Spider-Man got 7 nominations, right?
And I think the other 2 are from VR. I'm pretty sure of it.
So they have the only games they have are Spider-Man and MLB The Show. And
MLB The Show got nothing. So anyway, my point is, right, for all the people saying doom and gloom and Xbox still has something to prove, remember,
that's just ridiculous.
Hi-Fi Rush is one of the most nominated games at the whole ceremony, and Xbox has 10 actual game-related nominations.
Yep.
Right? So I just don't want to forget that while we try to do this post-mortem of all the
I mean, again, that's why we wanted to talk about it, because there are people in the gaming media, and you know what, I'm going to shout him out because I'm a big fan of him. I follow his work. I like Paul Tassi a lot. Paul and I, we've basically have had a conversation back and forth on Twitter, not in a DM, I like Paul's stuff, and I do. I know he says some wacky things every now and again, and what he said on which he got into a little bit of trouble with the community is that, Microsoft Starfield only getting one nomination is a big problem for Xbox. Basically trying to throw the blame onto as if Bethesda and Xbox didn't do enough to make this game as good as it was.
Well, you know what?
He's not the only person choosing that clown route.
But wait a minute. Starfield, the media has a problem. It's not Starfield with the problem.
Exactly.
Everyone's playing Starfield.
Yes.
Still to this Deontay Wilder day, right? They're still playing Starfield. It sold more than Final Fantasy 16 already, right? It was number 7. I think it moved down to number 9 now that Spider-Man and Mario are out, right? But 9th best-selling game of the year, and it wasn't available on PlayStation and available
I think the
Game
list
Pass.
still had it at 7. I saw.
No, it's 9, but it was 7 last month because they showed the position it was before. But the point is, it's still in the top 10 most played games. The month it came out, the only thing that beat it was Fortnite, right? Still high player counts on Steam. So again, Starfield did everything it needed to do. And you want to talk about mind share? You can't bring out a AAA game without the Starfield comparison. Right? So it literally is everywhere. No, you can't keep. Will Smith is about to slap somebody like they was talking about Jada for bringing up Starfield, right?
But see, Everborn, this fundamentally goes to the point I'm making, right? There's a fundamental problem with this process.
No.
If a game like this can be snubbed,
sure, but what I'm addressing now is Paul Tassie's point about Microsoft still having.
Just throw that out. It's a great talking point, right? It sounds,
but it's not. It's not even a good talking.
No, I'm just saying it creates content for him, right? It creates buzz, but we know it's nonsensical. It makes no kind of sense.
Now,
right? The game is played by 11 million people. How much more?
Sold 10 million copies. By the way,
my point is, I think that highlights the problem with the media, right? So to say, because you know what this is like? This is like we're playing basketball. I pull out a knife, stab the ball, and then tell you why you aren't dribbling the ball.
Right.
Because that's really what's happening with that take. So again, I'm not.
Just to point out, Paul Tassi loved the game. He loved Starfield.
But gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Yes, he did.
So
yes,
he knows the game is good. We know the game made all kinds of money, and then it doesn't get nominated, and somehow it's the game's fault.
Yeah. Well, what he's trying to point out is, some of the things you're pointing out, I guess, is maybe the potential case here. But to be fair, they got 10 nominations, right? So Xbox was not necessarily snubbed, even though there is likely more PlayStation content creator, PlayStation media that did the ratings. However, the game could have been just a little bit different, right? There maybe were expectations that were set. Whatever it is, it did cause it to get some 7s, right? That happened.
I mean,
from major outlets.
Cause is a strong word when people can throw a number at something. Like, come on,
it's an expectations game. No matter how you cut it, right? Like, there was an expectation of what they wanted and what they got, and it wasn't what they wanted, right? And however you cut it, and it wasn't just one outlet. GameSpot, right? That's the other big one.
GameSpot gave it a 7. They let us know 112
PC Gamer that did it as well, right? So
PC Gamer as well gave it a 7.
Gamers, the guy's like an ex Sony guy, so like,
right, but either way, these three gave it 7.
Give people
right, so
like credit for being who and what they are, and not try to just blame the game. It's like, oh, the game was great for everybody else, but this one guy said it's a 4, so it's a 4. It's
an expectation thing, right? He was going in expecting something like Fallout 4.
Gave it a 4
didn't get
because
that.
because he had a beef with the company. It had
Yeah,
nothing to do with
you're talking
anything
about
else.
Sterling. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jim Sterling gave it a 4, which is
yeah, whatever.
But he
That
counts.
guy's nuts.
He
Right,
counts.
whatever.
He counts
So-
though, right? So it's like
I don't know if
you-
he's in the list. Is he? He's not in the list.
Oh
I
no,
don't
but
think-
he, you know,
I'm
but
not
he was
saying-
still
I'm not
he's
saying he
on
counts in
Metacritic.
there.
though.
it goes
this,
in
but
that,
he
but I
means
mean,
PC
you know, it's
gamer?
going to be a
Right.
minor delta, right? That's
Are you
like,
asking if PC gamers on the list?
No. Jim Quisition.
Oh, Jim Sterling.
Specifically, Jim Quisition is not on the list, but
no,
he
but
is
that's
part of
not
Metacritic.
that's not what Pixel's saying. Pixel is
Yeah.
I
saying
think Jim Sterling.
if
Why am I
we're
calling him
relating
Jim
this
Sterling?
to the
Yeah.
score,
That's the thing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
it
what he
is
is.
Jim
Jim
Sterling's
Sterling.
vote counts toward. But again,
Yeah.
to me anyway, this is not about whether Starfield got the Game of the Year nod specifically.
It wasn't going to get it. So
You're right. This is. I think it would have got it last year if it would have came out on time.
uh-huh.
Right?
it would
Yeah.
have got
Just
it with
because
multi plat.
It
This-
would not have scored an
this-
86 on
this
PC because the game would
year-
have been broken. Yeah, there's
Right,
no doubt
but-
about it.
Yeah.
Even still, right? I don't think we can, apart from RE4, but then you could have slid in Diablo in there, or you could have put Sea of Stars in there. I don't think anyone that was nominated was undeserving.
Oh no,
So-
everyone on that
so
list
You
they had a really
you
good
really
game.
have
There's
to
no
say
doubt.
who are you going to take out?
I would take
Yep.
out Mario and I
wouldn't take
I wouldn't take out Mario. I would take
I
out
would- I
I would
would
take out
out
Mario
Zelda
and
over
Ari
Mario.
in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think about it.
No. But
see,
if you
that's the
take out
thing.
RE, do you
And
what do you do
because
with
of that,
Diablo?
you show a bias, right? Because you
No, I'm not
automatically
showing
are
the
taking out the
bias.
two Nintendo
I'm showing
games.
the same bias
come
the
on.
voters showed. What are you
No,
saying?
you're
I'm showing the
saying
same
exactly
bias the
that.
voters showed.
The 96 meta game shouldn't be in there.
How?
Come on.
Dude,
Come
it's the
on, you're
same
showing
game it's
by
always been for the
blatant
last
bias.
30 years.
It's
the
got a
same
10-point
game.
advantage.
So
Come
what's
on.
so new about Mario?
Have you played
so
it?
new? Have you played
one,
it?
This one is very
Dude.
different. I will
Wow.
have to
It's
say
very
that
different.
It is.
Okay.
It is very different. Trust me. It is very, I will be
Alright.
I will throw that out there. Honestly,
No.
between the two, honestly, and here's my hot take, and I know y'all gonna throw the virtual tomatoes, so get them ready. Between the
Here we
two,
go.
I think Mario deserves it more than TOTK because
I agree.
TOTK
1000%.
to me, TOTK is Ragnarok, an amazing game, but we've seen all the systems. We've seen it.
No,
they
we
just
haven't.
added more.
There was a build
Well, no.
mode that
We
allowed
saw
you to
the
create
environment.
all new things in Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild.
it
No.
was
We've
nuts
seen
and
the
bolts.
world. We've seen the world, and then they
You saw
added.
a quarter of the
this
world,
stuff.
but okay.
No, I hear you, but again, I describe it as the fourth piece of a great cake.
Wait a minute.
It just
Wait
is.
a minute. Why are we arguing about all of this when the true problem is Lies of P being nominated for best RPG?
That is
Yeah,
an interesting question.
It should have
Why
been
is
best
that an
action
RPG?
game. It should have been an action game
Yeah,
category. It only
are
has
there- is
RPG
it an
elements
RPG?
at best. It has RPG elements at best. If you want
Okay.
to put, you know what? Let's do some shuffling, right?
Spider-Man
if you
should have
really-
been an RPG category if Lies of
Stop
P
it. No, exactly. They have the same amount of
yeah.
RPG elements.
Yeah, they had to do something because Final Fantasy isn't an RPG.
I would take that out.
It's an action
Listen,
game.
Sure.
Listen, Hogwarts.
There's
and
fairness to
Diablo
that.
4.
So hold on. Let's
Fairness
fix
to
it. Then.
that.
Then let's fix it. Then let's put Cyberpunk because it has to be somewhere. Let's put Cyberpunk in RPG because it actually is an RPG.
So
That is actually
No, but that's the
RPG.
ongoing game. That
No.
so
It is an RPG.
So if Starfield releases their content update next year, does it qualify
No.
to be best ongoing
It's an
game?
Xbox game. It's not going to get anything. Are you kidding me? Man, it's just the way the world works. Look, real quick,
And
I
this
want to
is
bring
not
up.
about this is not shade at Liza P. It's just not. It should not
It's just
be
not that
in the
type of
RPG
game, yeah.
category.
It should be an action
when you
game,
Exactly.
yeah.
don't
It should be in
have
the action game
Diablo
category.
4
Yeah.
and Hogwarts Legacy in there. It doesn't make sense.
So, just for context, if you think that it's just us who go like this, I'm having some
scratching the
thoughts.
hair.
Josh Sawyer, right? You know who he is.
Oh yeah.
Josh. He made Pentiment. He's the head of Obsidian Games. You know, that small studio, that indie studio. Well, he put out 2 tweets, and he says, "I think it's funny that 2 years in a row, the Game Awards lists a cutoff date for submissions and announces the nominees a week prior to that cutoff date." And he says this: "Haters may say Pentiment wouldn't have been nominated. That's fair. However, the cutoff announcement date disconnect is just very silly." And it's again, just pointing out one of the things that is the mistakes that the Game Awards continue to get wrong. Now, I want to bring up a small point, and then obviously we got to continue the conversation. I am enjoying Spider-Man a lot. It is an 8.5 out of 10. You know how I feel about Insomniac. They're one of my favorite Sony developers. That's it. There's no buts to that. Okay, but it's in the Game of the Year category. Okay, if you feel that it deserves to be there, I'm not going to fight with you. Put it in there. It's also got 7 nominations for a multitude of things. Whether you feel that it gets it or it doesn't, again, I'm not going to argue with you. But when I said earlier that the same rule book for Xbox games does not apply because of the, well, it's this. I'm bringing up 2 titles. Now, again, I'm just looking at the stats. In the last 11 Game Awards, folks, you can go look this up for yourself. Sony and Nintendo are well represented because they deserve to be, right? They've had, I mean, if you just look at Sony, that 2018, 2019, and 2020, my God, what a run for Sony. Bangers left, right, and center. You cannot argue that.
Yep, a lot of content.
Okay, but you take a game like Gears 5, it got snubbed. And you know why it got snubbed? Everyone kept going, defaulting to this. Well, Boom, even though it's a good game and they did a few things different, it's just Gears. It's just you're chainsawing people and you're roadie running and you're changing weapons and it's Gears. Okay,
and Spider-Man is just Spider-Man.
That's exactly my point.
What you're getting to. Yep.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
As much fun as I'm having with it, and I'm having a lot of fun. I like being able to switch between Miles and Peter. I think it's phenomenal. I love the story. I love the emotional attachment the characters have. Like I'm quite enjoying it. With all of that said, Spider-Man 2 is very much Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. So that rule should have applied for Spider-Man 2, and it didn't. So then I go back and I say, okay, they had to have at least one other good game that deserved to be in there. Forza Motorsport 7, Forza Horizon 5, I'm sorry, gets 90 plus meta. It's 90 plus on OpenCritic. It's played by gazillions and millions of people. It's a runaway hit. And we're told, well, it's too niche, Boom.
It's just a racer.
It's just a racer, and it's kind of like Forza Horizon 4, so it's a little samey. And I'm just saying that, look, again, I'm just bringing 2 particular points to the conversation, and I think that it just leads to what we've all been saying. There are fundamental things wrong with the Game Awards. That is it. Again, I'm not saying take Spider-Man out because it sucks. It's a POS. No, I'm not saying. You may say that. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't think so. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for me, and I'm quite enjoying it. But I'm just saying that, the kids like to say, keep that same energy. It just does not seem to be the same energy when it's Microsoft or specifically Xbox. You're running
more transparency in the process.
The 10 Donna Taco mentioned in the comments that remember what happened to Ori, right? Will o' the Wisp.
Ori should have gotten at least a nom, and it did not. It did, which occurs to me. But listen, before we continue the conversation, there's been a lot of super chats, gentlemen. Let me just take 5 minutes to catch up with everybody. First of all, welcome the Black Viking. This guy has exploded on the scene on social media. I love the work that he does. I'm sorry, I'm a fan. Black Viking, thank you for the outstanding, very generous $10 super chat, and says, guys, be prepared that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be released on Game Pass when it is revealed the date at the Game Awards. I say this because there is no need for this kind of theatrics for just the date of a game. Well, Phil actually, a couple of weeks ago when he was being interviewed for the Blizzard thing, he kind of let it slip a little bit. He was like, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 and game, and he continued his thing like he didn't say it. He kind of let the cat out of the bag. It is going to be in Game Pass. At least I'm going to take him at his slip up word, if you will. Crippling Debt. I love the name. he drops a very generous, ridiculous $20 super chat and says this. What they need to do is require the media, heavily weighted votes are all from gamers, teams that are equal, i.e. 30 Xbox primary, 30 PlayStation primary, 30 Nintendo primary gamers, all of which play at least one other platform. That is a brilliant idea. Having proper, well-seated representation for all three platforms would certainly alleviate some of the head-scratching things that are consistently going on at the Game Awards. Cyber DNA drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, watch the OTK VGAs on December 8th. All votes done by gamers. Best Game Awards, hands down. I'm gonna take you up on that advice. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, difference between Starfield and Hi-Fi Rush is that the media had time to plan premeditated murder on Starfield. Yeah, they kind of didn't have a chance because it was Hi-Fi was shadow dropped, and that's why I think it has like 32 reviews.
Hey,
or something
just a
like
little
that.
bit of breaking news.
Here we go.
The Killer Instinct account, this is completely unrelated, but the Killer Instinct account just tweeted out that join us for a developer stream with Iron Galaxy on Wednesday, December 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific. Killer Instinct's 10th anniversary, where we'll be sharing the latest news on upcoming changes to Killer Instinct.
I love it,
buddy. That's what I'm
there
talking
you go.
about.
Now we're talking. Nah, it's awesome. Drop that into the DM so I can use that as a talking piece tomorrow.
That's the best fighting game last gen.
That's 100%. Yeah, it's still one of my favorites of all time. Hitman Official drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, yeah, this is pretty good. I really forgot about this, and that's awful. He says, can we get a happy birthday for Team Xbox, who turned 22 this today?
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We totally forgot about that. I forgot. I'm a failure of a host. Sorry. I don't know what to say. We have Maxi Coleman. So thanks so much, Hitman. Appreciate that. Maxi Coleman drops a $5 super chat and says, if you need Starfield to be a 12 out of 10 for the media to be forced to notice, you go do a 12 out of 10. Enough excuses. I mean, I wouldn't give it a 12 out of 10. I mean, I'm going to say that I have over 5 days worth of, and I haven't beaten it yet. I haven't even started New Game Plus.
I mean, it has a point to one level where you say, look, if they have like 6 games that are like high 80s, low 90s, that just keep coming, even though they keep getting snubbed or whatever, right? At some point, the media just has to give in. There's just no way, right?
No, he's right. He is right. Well, there is going to come a point where
the media doesn't have to give in anymore.
First of all,
an employer
give it. Wait a minute. For the game to get in the 90s, that would mean they gave in.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point. Exactly.
They don't have to. Like, it's not like if I decide that you are forever getting a 7, you are forever getting a 7. It doesn't matter what you do with the game. If I can say, oh, it's a 7, and there's a million.
At some point, they just can't do it.
There's a million people who are happy to back me and say, well, there's no bias with the media, so it's fine. Then I just keep giving you a 7. I mean,
we keep reverting back to Dan Stapleton, but again, like I said,
I'm not just talking about Dan. I mean, I'm talking about there are other people.
Oh no,
like
I'm actually talking about Dan.
You can't change somebody's mind and just I can bludgeon you with greatness all day, but if you decide that you don't want to respect it, it doesn't matter.
It's the customer, right? Because if they keep making these games, customers will come. Right. At some point, the customer will say, "Why are you saying this?"
Right? The customers are saying that. Right? The customers are playing those games.
It has to be the majority, right? IGN, their bread is still buttered by PlayStation players. That's just a fact.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Because they are the majority console owner. So until
it's not console, it's majority revenue. That's changing. As that changes, as the industry starts to shift to somebody else, which is going to happen, right?
Yeah,
what is PlayStation putting out?
No matter what they do,
right? But
see, I
because
guess
of that, they're just going to have to recognize, right? Like customers will switch, IGN will go with it, right? So
what the problem you're describing
I don't know if
is
actually that bad, but
as the pendulum swings one way or the other, the bias will swing with it. We're trying to fundamentally move the bias out of it. There will always be some. I'm not
yeah,
saying it's
that,
not. I'm
you're
not
right.
saying it's
That's
possible.
exactly it.
There
There
will
will
always
always
be
be
some.
bias.
It's not,
There's
but-
no way
it
around
is
it.
not like
But-
their job is to get the
but-
minds of gamers, right? If they can make
Fundamentally,
great games and get
exactly.
gamers to play it, that's the
as
win.
much bias as there will always be in the process, if you recognize there's a problem, then you can actually start the impossible task of one day resolving it, right?
Okay.
But every
Yeah,
time it's pointed out, it said there's nothing to see here. That's the problem we're in today.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd classify the problem a little bit different, right?
Okay.
I think we might be way too concerned with getting people to like us that are just never going to like us.
Exactly. That's
Well, you
the
heard
point.
King,
That's kind of the
King
point I'm
Dave did a
making,
video
right?
the other
But
day,
there'll be
which was
more
brilliant.
reviewers that will be reviewing Xbox games that will like those games. It's just the way.
No,
it is.
that's
Like,
fine.
You should
That's
outlive
fine.
them, right? Like the
No,
brand
that's
needs to
fine.
outlive them.
But to me, I'm not gonna move into a neighborhood where people don't like me, right? Or don't want me there, I should say. So I'm saying this to say, everyone here that's upset about Starfield or something else being snubbed, every one of those people would have already told you that there's some sort of media bias or whatever, and they don't trust the media. So why now be surprised when the game that you liked, that they tried to give a 7 to or whatever to, didn't get there? And as long as
okay, so
wait a minute,
I think you were late to the conversation, sir. That's not what we said at the beginning. It's not about whether Xbox got something or not. It's about the fundamentals, and we pointed out many a mistake. The fundamentals are proving, the fundamental process is showing that the agenda that is advertisement and or those things are so far ahead, they're taking a back seat to merit and professionalism.
Right,
that's what's happening here.
This award show is not voted on people who make games. This award show is voted on by people who cover games for ad revenue. Like what? So listen, all I am saying is
that is it. It's about money.
And I'm not saying, like, look, again, this idea that we're going to get to this merit-based system that's already based on opinion, that is
it's
already
never
based
happening.
on people who primarily play on a single platform, you're just not going to get there. So looking at them, expecting them to, like, they slapped you in the face.
It's like a dog expecting a bad owner to like them tomorrow, right? It's like you're just going back for more abuse every day. Why bother? The key for them is to get gamers to actually care about their platform. And so far this year, gamers have been playing their platform.
And this is the thing, right? Like, I don't like giving names, but Colin Moriarty, right? I respect what he does, but I don't really pay attention to anything he says about Xbox, because he'll tell you straight up he's a PlayStation podcast. He's not really entrenched in the ecosystem. That's why his takes seem off if you're in the ecosystem. But the same goes for these sort of awards. So all I am saying is, how about paying attention to the DICE Awards from the people who actually make these games? Pay attention to the golden joysticks if you're worried about the recognition that you want, because I guarantee the games you are hoping were there will fare better in a situation like that, with the entire industry of people who recognize those things. So
while I agree with you, Everborn, to be fair, Joystick also totally snubbed Hogwarts, like totally.
Hogwarts is a whole different thing, but
it's about it's the cowardly line. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Who's on the front of the line and who's behind the line?
Separate podcast just to talk about cowardice and reviewing and things of that nature, right?
The only point I'm really trying to make is, you can only be upset about this stuff if you were secretly hoping for their validation to begin with. And I'm not looking for that validation from them, because the well's already poisoned, right?
Yep.
So if you believe that, why would that even upset you? So what I'm saying is put your stock elsewhere, right? Because I see this all the time, right? People will tell you Metacritic doesn't matter, it doesn't matter until their favorite game comes out and you get a Jimquisition review and then you go below 90 and now you're all upset. But why would you be upset if you said Metacritic didn't matter? If you said the Game Awards didn't matter when they snubbed Halo Infinite because of the arbitrary time cutoff, or they snubbed Forza Horizon, a lot of people said they was done with the Game Awards, but now they're upset that they're snubbing Starfield. And I just I do not. But somebody said it's not validation; it was respect. Why do you? They don't like you. Why do you need them to respect you?
Well, King actually said, my mama
right?
taught me if they're not going to stop messing with them, if they're not going to mess with you, to make it
so again, at the end of the day, we can call it what it want, but it really is seeking validation from these people who are not really entrenched in the ecosystem. So again, all I'm getting at is maybe there needs to be, if you feel disenfranchised by this process, but even though Xbox got 10 nominations,
10 nominations is freaking fantastic,
right?
And so let's not forget, 2 years ago, Xbox had 2 games in the Game of the Year noms, so it's not like they don't get nominated, right? So, like, this is not the end of the world. Like Starfield, unfortunately,
it certainly is not, and you really shouldn't don't get yourself all worked over it. Like,
exactly,
raise your blood pressure. Have a conversation.
Yeah, it's just Starfield. It came out in a year with way too many good games. It's just the way it is. Like, if this came out last year, it would have been in the noms. It's just it is what it is, right? Because there was nothing else. This year's just ridiculous. There's just no way around it.
100%. But I'm just saying we have some kind of gripe with the Game Awards every year, and I'm just saying maybe we should stop looking at the Game Awards for anything but the trailers. And
and the announcements.
Maybe there should be. And by the way, the Game Awards has a community vote, and you know what won in 2021? Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite, that's right.
Yeah, right.
And it very well could be that Starfield will be in that list.
Win, so
it could win. We never know.
More than anything, right?
Yep. But yeah, like I don't have too many gripes except for those little issues that I think they should just fix.
I have a problem with Liza P. Like that I love the game,
and I agree with you. Like, that shouldn't be in that category. Cyberpunk shouldn't be in the best community support. What does that mean?
This is my point.
Destiny shouldn't be there. That doesn't make any sense.
Starfield should have gotten best score.
I agree with that too. But it didn't get recognized.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I agree that score is pretty good. But those little things, which ultimately it's not the end of the world, but I would like to see those things kind of rectified. When literally people are coming out and saying, "Why did you nominate me? I didn't even do anything."
Yep.
The
process
that's
could
a fail.
benefit
That's a massive
some
fail.
transparency. That's all.
Right.
It is.
That's all we're saying. Right? The process could benefit from some transparency.
Nomination. And the guy and the actual studio's like, hey, we're kind of really not indie. That's a fail, and I'm sorry. I know that Geoff likes to kind of remove himself from the conversation. Well, I didn't really. You're the producer, brother. You have full authority, and you're supposed to cross the T's and dot the I's, and he did not.
I do think he should. He should do a little bit of vetting. Yes. Of what ends up as the end product,
but
right? Yes,
if he puts his fingers on the scale, then it's going to be a whole other conversation.
No, it's not putting it on the scale. It's not saying, putting his finger on the scale. This. Just FYI, this wasn't possibility because of blah, right? And you just send it back and say, well, okay, I think you guys need to think again, right? Because this is not possible.
I just think they need to widen the voting body.
Sure,
right?
that can also be.
One of the
that's
super
also
chats
beneficial.
earlier said there should be representation. If you're going to have a panel of let's say 90 people, let's just say they scale it back and they move out, the metros, and like, listen, this
don't take them out. Don't take them out. Just put voices in there that's going to balance it out.
Well, they said 30, 30, and 30, but maybe because I think the number, I know we keep saying 113. I'm pretty sure they said 120. So let's just say for shits and giggles, gentlemen and ladies, that it is 120. Then there should be 40 Xbox representatives that favor that platform. There should be 40 PlayStation representatives, and there should be 40 Nintendo representatives. And they can collectively all, they could vote for who they want to vote for, obviously, but they could. It would be a more fair.
So part of it, though, is that it has to be for esports. You have to have people that cover that, and then you have to have coverage of mobile, right? So, and then there's this entire category of PC. Does that get separate representation? I don't know. These are like expand it. I would say instead of 120, make it 500.
Probably
I don't
be better
care,
than what
right?
they're
Make
doing
it
now, right? Having it hidden and nobody knowing exactly who votes on these things isn't helping the cause.
That's all I'm saying, Pixel.
If people could identify, okay, well, these are the people involved in this, then they could form different conclusions, right? But because you don't know and you keep getting similar results,
if you go to their website, as Hargeet put it in our DMs, if you go to the website and you scroll down, you see the icons, but you won't see who the people are within those icons, right? You should that's easily remediable. You should be able to do that, right? After that's done, it'll make things easier. There's a lot more. Hey, now, before we continue, please address the elephant tusk in the room. And that would be the super chat that just showed up here.
Holy matrimony. Yeah, let me that's ridiculous. Let me read this one because again, let me read them in order as they came in because it's only fair. I will get to the elephant in the room, which is ridiculous. It's big. Cypher Type 1 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Food for thought. The VGAs have existed during all of last gen when Xbox was hated and reviled. This is why those games were overlooked." I mean, I have a picture, folks, and I said this before in the last 11 Game Awards, the last 11 dating back to 2013 to 2023. PlayStation is well represented, and they earn that. Nintendo has games in there that they're represented, and they earn that. Xbox to this date, to this year, has not had one.
Well, okay,
no, they had two in 2021.
Okay, which ones are those?
Psychonauts 2 and Deathloop were both nominated for Game of the Year.
Deathloop was not an Xbox game.
But Psychonauts 2 was.
Doesn't matter.
It was.
First party games.
Only one.
Like I said, this is the list that was sent to me, so maybe that's.
But wait a minute, I'll take that a step further though, right? Mm-hmm. Because guess what? In Overwatch 1, right? That's an Xbox.
But that was before they bought them.
Don't matter. Xbox game now.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about after they were owned. Deathloop was put out. And Psychonauts 2 was put out. Both of them were nominated for Game of the Year.
Sure. But also Fallout 4. Again, Xbox owned IP. But even if you don't want to give it that, right? We still have to look at Occam's razor, right? And you have to look at each one of those years, right? I'll give you Ori, right? Because Ori should have got nominated. But in each one of those years, are we saying that like what game did Xbox have out in that year that would go against who was nominated and who won?
And that has been the problem. Remember, they were down to like 4 or 5 studios, right?
Exactly.
There were a couple of years there that Microsoft just was not doing the job. Let's
they just had no content. They had nothing.
They had no content.
What are you gonna do? Right.
So I just don't think that 10-year list is meaningful. Yes, we can give it context. I'm sorry, we can give it meaning, but when you look at the context of that's when they had no studios, that's when they didn't really own studios, that's when, like, are you going to give it in 2018 when Sony released Spider-Man and God of War? You're going to give it in 2017 where you had Breath of the Wild and
Mario
Wonder. Not Mario Wonder.
So, Mario Odyssey. Yeah. I mean, like, didn't one of those years have like Red Dead Redemption losing to God of War? Like Red Dead Redemption 2. That game didn't win.
Disgusting.
Right. So it's not
that's how good that year was, right?
I mean, like right now, like the tide's turned. They own all these publishers and studios or whatever. But in the last 10 years, right, Xbox hit rock bottom. That's it. You can't run from that fact. So that's why
it is a fact. It's true.
That's why they in these last 10 years they weren't nominated. Now, give them some time. I think they're going to turn it around.
Well, I mean, listen again. Apologies for that because, like I said, I'm looking at the list that someone sent me, and I did not
Publisher
have
of the year 2021.
What's that?
Yeah,
Publisher of the year as well. 2021.
They did get Publisher of the Year. That was from Metacritic. That is correct.
Yep.
That was they had a lot of games out this year. So
and they're going to get it next year.
Maybe.
Not maybe. They're going to get
it. See. We got to make sure that their games come out. I know that this Phil said that they're going to have 4 a year, and next year is supposed to be amazing. But we will we'll just they have to deliver. That's just the bottom line. They have to deliver. I think they delivered this year, in my opinion. I know that Redfall is the outlier.
They more than
people
delivered.
Like whatever. I think they over delivered, in my opinion. But
don't let anybody gaslight you to thinking otherwise.
Oh no,
like they had 6 first-party games this year.
Yes, and they all scored pretty well, pretty good. Like I said, the only one that didn't is Redfall. Yeah,
and just to add to that, in 2021, Xbox Game Studios had 13 nominations, Bethesda 10, because Bethesda was owned in 2021 by Xbox. Yeah, that's how many nominations they had. They had the most nominations in 2021. That's how ridiculous it was. Just trying to put that out there. It's not like they don't actually get. And Deathloop got 9 nominations on its own in 2021.
And you know something? I don't know why. Because I hated that game.
Yeah, but see, again, you're counting games when they weren't on Xbox, right? So let's not pretend that
it is what it is. It was put out by Xbox. I mean,
numeric, it was not put out by Xbox. It was put out by Bethesda,
which was owned by Xbox.
Yeah, they were owned by Xbox, but the game wasn't even on Xbox.
But again, it doesn't matter. It was put out
matters,
by Xbox.
man. It matters.
Psychonauts 2 was
anybody
on
who played that game knows it wasn't that the score wasn't even deserving. You know what I'm saying? But come on, it matters.
See, and this is why the conversation has many layers to it.
It does.
We can always have our teams, and they didn't score this time. They should have gotten there. They didn't get it. I just think fundamentally the bedrock of this process needs to be opened up a bit. As I agree with Everborn, they need to add more voices into it. Hashtag TGA. What was it? The other one was what? Oscar's so white. This would be TGA so PlayStation. Is that what's going on here?
No, it's not so. It's no. Right? It's no. Right? But it's not so.
Is it though?
Too cinematic.
I don't. 2 of the Game of the Year nominees are Nintendo games, so I don't know if it's really just so. I think
I
don't earned the position.
It's not so.
They've
PlayStation.
Earned the position.
Right?
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No.
We just want some more transparency in the process.
Yes.
So that when this back and forth goes on, we at least know we're all speaking from the same. We're all singing from the same sheet of music.
I do want to add one thing for context. Okay, so this is where my Popo hat goes on. And if you don't know, I'm former NYPD.
You got to get the
21 years.
Police siren, the New York police siren thing going, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, so I know that we want transparency, and I'm the first guy to say that that's how it has to be. That's how this channel was built, folks. But I say from a law enforcement perspective, and that's when I have to put on the Popo hat here, I would feel incredibly uneasy for the journalists voting on this. And I say that because look what happened when the ESA accidentally on purpose leaked all of those gaming journalists' addresses and their cell phone numbers. Right now, granted, I do not like Dan Stapleton. Right? I think he is a fraud. I truly do. With that said, I think it would be very scary for him and his family if his name got out there because of death threats. And I know,
and we don't need to see them. We just need to see for a given organization, right? This company.
Just tell me how many of the clowns that work for you voted.
That's how I would. If I
not again, the names. I think that is fair.
Let's be safe here. Let's
sure, I'll give you that.
If you will,
absolutely.
I would like IGN 6 representatives. I don't want to know who they are, and you know why I don't want to know? Because for the safety of those people, I don't think they want anyone knowing either. Because this community, as wonderful as it is, and this community is amazing. There is a subset, and I've come across a few of them that are violent, that have said some things that, I mean, like I laugh it off because I'm like, that's not going to happen. But it could be a scary situation. So if I were to throw this out there and anyone that actually cared listened, I would say the transparency that would be proper would be, hey, IGN and it had 6 voters, and Metro had 3 voters, and GameSpot had 6 voters, and you kind of give us an idea of who's voting. You know what I'm saying? Not the actual person, but the entity and how many. If you wanted to kind of push the transparency forward, I would be unbelievably against putting names out there or faces because of how dangerous
100 on that.
This community again community is beautiful and it's amazing, and the generosity, which we're going to continue to talk about, is overflowing. But there is a dark side. Place. Yeah, it could be. It from again. I had to say that because I really wanted to continue the fun, but I like my inner police officer was going crazy with. Well, I don't know about that because I would personally be afraid for the people. That would be just my take on it. Real quick, Spartan661 drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Hey, Boom, are you bringing out Darth Boom? Noticing the facial hair showing. It's time for is the time of the year for us to show what we care about Xbox for." Like, dude, this is lazy. I'm retired. I should not have a beard, but I was forced to shave every day as a cop. So some days I'm just like, yo, F it. I'm retired. I don't got to do this anymore. So that's why I got this. And it shows all my grace. It's terrible. It's awful.
Hey. As a man with a beard and grays.
Gray bears. I don't like that.
I don't appreciate that, sir.
Look, we're gonna hold you down. I'm not too far from you, man. We're gonna hold you down. We're gonna paint a banner on you, bro. Like, come on, man.
Hitman.
Beard gang, stand up.
Generous $5 super chat says, "I love the passion, but who cares about the Game Awards? Do you guys actually remember the game of the year the past 10 years? No. We go for the game reveals. LOL." Yeah, I mean, listen, again, that's
exactly what I was saying.
That's why when people really like for instance, thankfully I didn't say anything because I got oh no, it's Alex. But someone was like, "Hey, Boom, you on his video," and he apparently didn't say anything disrespectful to me, which is, even if he did, it's fine. He's allowed to make his content. I say that if I did get on there, and I know that I did, I say, hey, that's a free advertising for Double Barrel Gaming. So Alex, thank you, sir. Do it again. And we have the monster super chat that comes in from a very generous member, and who has been unbelievably generous to Double Barrel Gaming. And that is Bold Alpha Wolfpack, folks. He drops a $100 super chat. Dude, that is just crazy. I don't even know what to say, but thank you for the generosity. We are going to put that back into the community because remember, in December, we do our 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick. We're giving away $1,500 in 2 hours, and I'll tell you more about that when we get to the outros. He says this: "My question is, if Xbox isn't great when Bethesda is at their peak, and Xbox isn't great when we're on the cutting edge of games as a service, and we aren't great when PlayStation is in court saying they can't compete. If ABK goes through, then when Microsoft buries PlayStation because of THTS? That's what I want to see now." I mean, he brings up a tremendous point, because at what point, how much better does Xbox have to be in order to be recognized? And I think really what this comes down to, and a lot of people said, listen, do not pay attention to the Game Awards if it bothers you. I will say this: please don't raise your blood pressure over it. Like, you're not going to see me throw a temper tantrum because Starfield got snubbed. I'm going to have a conversation, and I'm going to tell you that I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with the system. I really am. That's about as angry as I'm going to get, because that's not something to get angry about. Yeah. I think we're going to see a much different conversation when we come to the DICE Awards, when you actually have industry people voting on industry-related topics. I think that's going to be a big difference. What were you going to say, Hargeet?
So,
yes. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, just really quick, right? Like, because it didn't get nominated, is Starfield no longer your game of the year?
Oh no, certainly not. It's my game of the year,
Right?
100%.
Do you like Hi-Fi Rush that much less?
No.
Everborn, throw it in the bushes. It's trash. Haven't you heard?
No.
Nobody thinks it's good.
Wait a minute. Do you no
Jedi
longer
Survivor,
like Diablo?
Armored Core 6,
Diablo?
I could go on and on and on.
What difference does it really make in the grand scheme of things? If you know, listen, and I say this as a Sonic fan, a lot of people don't like the games that I love, right? So I already have a thick skin for this situation, so I'm not perturbed by this at
Says
all.
Everborn Needless Saga, but okay, continue,
it's
sir.
not Saturday yet. I still have money. But my point is, Starfield is still my game of the year. Means nothing. The only thing that might come close to Starfield, I don't think it will, but it may be Diablo 4 because I'm all over that right now. But that is just, this is just other people's opinions. Again, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them, and most of them stink.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Well, hold on, just 1 second, right? Well, I agree, right? It doesn't really matter, right? For real gamers, nobody cares. We're gonna buy our games regardless of what anybody thinks about the game, right?
Yes.
But what it does matter to is the casual audience. It matters to the brand. It matters for the game that you love the most, right? That now got shot down or underscored or whatever, and that doesn't
even get nominated.
Didn't get nominated. Doesn't get
it matters.
Get the accolades it should have deserved.
It matters to the developers.
It matters to the developers.
Put their blood, sweat, and tears. Friends of mine who literally basically make like below minimum wage forever just to get their shot to make a game, and because of political mumbo jumbo BS, they'll never ever be heard from again.
But wait a minute. You never get another opportunity, right? So while I understand what you say by it doesn't matter, let's color that a little bit, right? Because there is some value, and there's a reason why publishers care about this stuff, right? There's a reason why they care about this stuff. So we can't just throw it away like, it doesn't really matter at all.
Well, hold on.
It matters.
I want to push back a little bit, slightly, because again, Sony's bonuses are based on these Metacritic and Game Awards things. That's not really the KPI for Xbox, right? These people are not
we know of.
Yeah, but the KPI for Xbox would be sales, and when your game gets snubbed,
or it would be engagement.
You may just sell less. Game Pass can help you get around some of that, but not all of it.
And by the way, when I was saying that, I wasn't talking about Xbox because again,
Xbox
I'm just saying
in general, right?
I was talking specifically about Hogwarts.
Right?
Oh,
because
but the Hogwarts
we're gonna get another Hogwarts, right? I mean,
their sales will be fine. Right? Their sales will be fine. Absolutely. I'm not saying the sales won't be, but that doesn't trickle to everyone, right? The newbie who wants to get their moment in the sun has now been quelled because it just happened to be owned by some IP. So that means now it's disappeared.
Hogwarts. People are gonna play it when
anybody
wanted to play it is gonna because it's Harry Potter.
Like it's the #1 selling game of the year. That's the first thing.
Hogwarts gonna be fine, right?
It is unfortunate.
They can cry on their ziggurat built out of $100 bills, right? They'll be all right.
No QA tester. No QA testers making billions from that game. Come on.
Yeah, but they weren't gonna get billions if the game won game of the year either.
Of course not. Look, all I'm asking for is to have more integrity in the process. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
So I'm going to come at it from a different angle, right? That look, the generation started with Xbox having the enthusiasm, including the media, and they went into 2021, Publisher of the Year. They got more nominations than anybody else at the Game Awards. 2 games in Game of the Year nominations. And then they flubbed the hell out of 2022 and destroyed their entire momentum.
Okay, sure, but
right.
To add to that,
now they have to build it back. They have to build it back.
Crap about it,
but they have to build it back. It is what it is. So it just went back to the Xbox sucks. That's what happened, right? So,
but not actually though, right?
Well, so it is what it is, though. It's feelings. Wait a minute. It's always about feelings.
No, but the feelings is everybody's afraid of Xbox now.
Maybe.
They're all afraid. No, this is what they're telling you. Xbox is too big. It's going to take over the industry. They're a monopoly. They got ABK. The sky is falling. Sony's doing whatever Sony's doing. And they're afraid that Microsoft is going to change the industry in into something they don't want. That is a very different ball game from saying, oh, they just can't get right. The thing now is that they're scared that the big multi-conglomerate, multinational conglomerate company is now teed up to control the industry, and they're trying to do everything they can.
And by the way, they're bringing
Skynet
with them. They're bringing Skynet with them too. Remember?
I am not giving them that credit. I am saying that is what the media is telling me.
Also, the media also just said that Xbox is in trouble because they had no games in the Game of the Year, and there's quite a few of them that actually said that. So I'm not sure what the media believes, the first lie or the second lie, but whatever it is, it's used for clicks. And if you
that's facts. They need to make money. I get that.
Yeah, that they have to make money. I totally get that, and this is why they say these outlandish things to get you upset. I don't click on anything. Like, I will not click on anything IGN writes because I know it's rubbish, and I'm not going to give them that click. I'm just not going to be a part of that. I will screen cap like a title and be like, "Wow, this is ridiculous," but I won't click on it. But at the end of the day, folks, look, let me just say this: this has been a phenomenal, well-rounded, well-discussed, adult type of conversation I was hoping that we were going to have, because everyone on here is a paraprofessional. We had it. There was no screaming. There was no yelling. There was one curse, but I cursed only because of context, because I'm really, really, really disappointed in the industry. And I call anyone who was responsible for Hogwarts a coward. I don't care if it's Geoff. I don't care if it's everyone that's on that board. If you were a part of the decision not to include this game with this as magnificent as it was from start, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about to put 4 days into it in total. You chose not to acknowledge it, that it even exists, because an author, whether you agree or disagree, is the IP holder. Literally had nothing to do with the game, zero input. What you did is you allowed your cowardice to come forward and snub out all of these developers' hard work, and I think that's disgusting. That's what I will end with. But let me just
the
get
politics thing is kind of crazy. If you went that way, then Game of Thrones should have gotten nothing, because J.R. Martin isn't exactly the cleanest of individuals.
No, he is certainly not.
So, whatever, you should put politics aside and just look at the content for what it is.
It should be about the game. And if that, again, if it's about the game, what happened? If it's about the game. But with that said, 3 more super chats and we'll get to outros. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says another issue might be that gaming media is enjoying similar power as some entertainment media does to make or break games, corrupting objectivity. Yeah, that's interesting and potentially true. Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, sorry I'm late. RE4 remake should not be up for Game of the Year. Does that mean Star Wars remade with new effects can go into the Oscar for best picture? And that's a great analogy, and it's the truth. What again, it's Kay brought up a great one. An old album from 1991 is going to get more nominations or nominated before like a new Nas album that released. I don't know how that's even possible, but that's it's happening. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I'm 2 powers away from having all 24 in Starfield. I acquired the inner demon power today. Also, did you see David Harbour talking about how he loves Starfield? Yeah, that was a great interview. He really likes Bethesda games. And last and no way least, Cypher Type 1 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, this is why the VGAs, aka the marketing awards for marketing show, are held amidst the holiday season and not in 2024. Yeah, it is absolutely about money. There is no doubt about it. And that's another, it's a bit of a conundrum. You don't think Hogwarts would sell? Like Hogwarts, I mean, it's already sold. It's probably the best selling games of the year, and it's probably going to sell another 2, maybe 2.5 million over the holiday season. I don't know. I don't understand these things, but then I don't have a marketing degree, so what the heck do I know? But let's start with the outros. Hargeet Chani. I'm interested for you to push the brand of Game On Daily. Asa, of course, the ninja that he is. And of course, Mr. Septic Sauce himself, Gaz, has been doing the Lord's work on the show that you guys have each and every Saturday. By all means, sell the brand. Where can people check that out? And more importantly, not find you on social media.
At Elon Musk. Have fun. Yeah, youtube.com/GameOnDaily and GameOnDaily.com. Check out the website. And then Septic Sauce, Gaz has his own channel. It's Septic Sauce on youtube.com/Septic Sauce. So check that out. And Saturday, there'll be another fun episode, I'm sure, of Go Live with Gaz and Asa. And then I am H. Chani on Xbox and on Discord. And I'll be playing a crap ton of games starting this Saturday, this Friday. Awesome. Because I'll be out on vacation. So I think I finished maybe 6. I'm on my 7th game in the last week. I've already started.
Chris is your machine, dude. Holy
like Christ. Finishing games. And yeah, I've just about halfway through on Mario Wonder, which is fantastic. But yeah,
I watched my nephew. He's at the last world now, and I am amazed at how he just plows through these levels and some of the ingenious ways. Like when you turn into that blob thing, and it's pretty impressive. I gotta say,
it's a pretty cool game. And thanks for joining us, Pixelbit.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and Pixelbit G. First of all, brother, yes, thank you for joining us. Obviously, thank you for the opinions, and we knew it was going to be a bit of a spicy meatball today. So, I mean, sell your brand, brother. Please, what do you got going on? And more importantly, if people want to strike up a conversation with you on social media, how do they go and do that, sir?
So you can find me on X under Pixelated G. I need to fix that name. I'll be on the fix tomorrow at 8:00 with my man Infinite Umbra.
Nice.
So that'll be nice. You know what I'm saying? Sometime you can find me on Asante and Everborn show. You know, every now and again I'm hanging up my boys there. So as always, good to have, be on the show with you guys. Pleasure being on the show with you, Hargeet. I think this is the first time I actually got to speak to you directly, my man. So, I enjoyed the debate, brother. Enjoyed the debate. You know what I'm saying?
It was fun. It was good. Everyone's professional.
And then, my man, Boom, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
I really enjoy being on here. So, but, as always, find me on Twitter or X, slandering people. Have my good old time. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Indeed. And thank you so much for being here. Kay Asante, you're going to have a fantastic show on the Gaming Circle podcast this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. By all means, sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to your incredible YouTube channel? But more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
First and foremost, I'll say, thanks everybody for coming out, hanging out and talking games and talking all this stuff with us. Here's where we get to put our hair down and talk some ridiculousness. No blood pressures raised. We're just talking games and talk about what we like and don't like. But yes, come check us out this Saturday. We will actually have a first time guest, Sika Mechanico, the Forge Master himself, will be joining us on GCP for the first time. Xbox Era co-founder. So yeah, we're excited to have him on. It should be a really good show this Saturday. We're gonna pepper him with a lot of Xbox specific questions. It's gonna be really cool. So again, thank you guys for being out here. Of course, the lore master, the hammer, Pixelbit G. Thank you for being here. Hargeet, as always, Mr. BoomStick, the hardest working man, and of course, Everborn, the kneeless one. Please.
Oh wow. Okay. And speaking of knees, Everborn Needless Saga. I can't believe that. Everyone, listen, obviously you didn't get to New York Comic Con this year. They snubbed you, and I have a problem with New York Comic Con, but you're going to be back because you have more great artwork in the form of the Everborn saga coming hopefully soon. Pause.
January.
Sell your brand, brother. Talk about where can people check that out, potentially buy some of your work as well as reach out to you on social media.
as I say every week, the answer to all of those questions is Everborn Sagas. If you want to talk to me, just go to X and type in Everborn Saga. You want to play with me on Xbox or PlayStation, Steam, also Everborn Saga. And if you want to check out this comic book universe we're putting together, go to everbornsaga.com. We didn't get into New York Comic Con or Anime NYC this year, but we didn't have any releases. And the reason we didn't have any releases is because we were gearing up. We treated 2023 like Xbox treated 2022, but then look how the following year came out. So we got a lot of big releases coming for 2024. And I promise you, we will be at Comic Con and Anime NYC in the upcoming year. So check us out and play your games. And those people you're mad at don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, listen, play on whatever console you enjoy, folks. Like I always say, and enjoy the games. Listen, don't let someone's stupid opinion. It's not going to change yours of the game. It's like I said, ultimately, you should feel disappointed if your favorite game didn't get in because of politics, and I am. Ultimately, that's as vexed as I get. I'm just disappointed with the system. And it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. And that's why we have these conversations, because I'm just not one to just say, oh, okay, well, that's just the way it is. I'm not that kind of a guy. I will hash it out. We'll have a conversation. We'll do it in a fair and fun manner and have some pointed opinions. Now, we may not all agree, but I think it's safe to say that staying quiet and not pushing back against the system is not the way to go. At least that's not the way I roll. And as long as there's going to be a Game Awards and there's going to be a Golden Joystick Awards, I'm going to have something to say about it, because I think my opinion, being a gamer first, matters, and your opinion matters as well, because you are a gamer, a paying customer. So with that said, I want to say a big thank you to all 19 super chats that were delivered today. That is incredibly generous of everyone that continues to support the channel. And again, it allows us to do these monster giveaways, which of course is coming for the 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. And we're giving away 10 $100 gift cards and 2 grand prizes, 2 $250 gift cards. And it could be to any of the 4 platforms: Steam, Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox. And if you are outside of the Americas, like I said before, we're proud to be one of the few podcasts or channels that will send the equivalent monies to you if you're outside of the country. If you're going to support us, we're going to support you. And the only caveat, like I say every time, is that it has to be through PayPal, because that protects us from fraud. So with that said, I want to say good night to everybody. Enjoy gaming on whatever gaming you're enjoying. And I will say this: go play freaking Halo, because the 8 Halo 3 maps, it's called Halo Refueled. They are amazing. I spent 5 hours today playing Halo. I recorded all the footage. I actually did pretty good. It was awesome. So go play those maps. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.